Hey guys, good morning. It's a beautiful Sunday, at least when I'm recording this. And today we will try something new. I will start with a series I would like to try, so definitely let me know your feedback after watching the video in the comments below. But what I wanted to do is go and have a look at the forums and see what people are posting on there. I know it might sound a bit silly, but a lot of people give their feedback on the game and some of the hot topics on the forums. And I think it is quite fun to every now and then just go and recap what has been said. I'll probably come up with a clever name for this series, as I'm not sure yet what I'm going to call it now, but you'll probably have noticed it in the title. Without further ado, let's step into some of the topics. So I went into the forums, I got some of the top posts of this week, and we'll start with one of the blue posts, which was about the tank tuning. Now, I'm not going to make a video going over all of the tank tuning changes that are happening. I just want to share my thoughts about it and see what the comments are from the community. So the gist of it is they want tanks to take a bit more damage, but shouldn't die more often. They want damage intake to be steady and not too fast or spiky. They want tanks to have strong answers to threats or periods of danger, but less sustained self-healing. Healer gameplay should not be dominated by tank healing. So basically what they're saying is tanks will take more damage, it will be more steady. They want the healers to heal them more, but not dominate their entire healing profile, just like it was in Classic. And the tank gameplay shouldn't significantly change initially. And then they've got all the changes that, if you want to look into it, definitely go and have a look. There's a million videos on it. My opinion on this is that it's definitely a convoluted change. I do feel that tank healing may have gone a bit out of control in the past or in recent times, because you can have a tank can go into a dungeon, pull 100 packs. The tank can live, but no one else in your group can. And then you get the entire toxic blame game to tell everyone that they're bad and so on. I don't really think that should be the case. I think there should be kind of a middle ground where if a tank pulls so big that it's unmanageable for a group to deal with, it should also be unmanageable for the tank to deal with, if that makes sense. So if a tank wants to pull 50 or 100 mobs that all do AoE casts, and the tank can live it because their melee attacks hit for nothing, or he can out-sustain or whatever, but the group can't live it because all the AoE will just kill them, even if you have like a bunch of stops and so on. They're not a massively coordinated group. I think there should be a balance where if you pull too much as a tank, that your group won't be able to sustain it, then the tank should also not be able to sustain it. So there should be kind of a bit more of a middle ground. So I am not opposed to them taking tanks down a notch. I also do like to play a lot of tanks, so I will kind of have to play with it to figure out what the feel is, because obviously I get the point where if you're going as a tank and you don't get a heal, you die instantly, or you die in a couple of seconds because you're not getting healed, then you'll just start feeling a bit more useless and feel like you don't have control of your character and your situation. So as long as they find like a good middle ground between, if you play your tank well, you'll still do good, you'll still live, you might need a bit more heals, but it's one of these things where the healer needs to keep a few hots on you, or the healer just needs to throw you a heal every now and then while they're topping up the group. I think that's fine. If it gets to a point where a tank goes into a pack and you kind of have to almost spam heal them, that will probably be a bit too much, but I feel like that's also not their intention. So I will be interested to see how it plays out, but let's have a look at what people from the community are actually saying about it. So, comment from live, why make the role that is the biggest bottleneck for not only queuable content less desirable to play? I guess it would become less desirable to play, but then every time you nerf something, it becomes less desirable to play. If you nerf a DPS, then that DPS becomes less desirable to play. There's a lot of people that just play DPS classes, DPS specs in the games. So I'm not sure if that will be kind of a short-term impact to tanks, or whether people will actually find it more fun. Because for me, tanking right now, especially dungeons, unless you go really, really high, tanking is very, very boring. If you play well in, let's call it middle content, if you play well as a tank, you can't die. But as a DPS, you can always push to do more DPS, get a higher overall DPS. And as a tank, you could do that as well, but your main job tanking, your main job surviving and tanking is not necessarily hard unless you push really, really, really high. So maybe it will bring a lot more people in, because if there's going to be a little bit more challenge to the role, maybe that's what people would enjoy and actually get satisfaction out of playing well, rather than just smashing your face on the keyboard and living. I guess here there's some worry about that it's too close to the expansion launch and that's not going to go down well for Season 1. Seems to be a thought that, well, it will hamper your leveling up. I don't really think it will. Leveling up's a bit of a joke. You can tank at a DPS spec, for example, and not have any issues for most of the leveling experience. So I don't really think that you would feel the change. And also most of the healing and self-healing for some of the tanks like Warrior only come quite late in your kit. You're quite reliant on healers anyway in the lower level content. So I don't think it will be a massive change for leveling, but they mess up the scaling. That could be a thing, obviously. This is a very long post. Just says do not nerf tanks. So I feel like the consensus here is that people don't like it. I get it. It's a nerf. People never like nerfs. I think, as I said before, my consensus is if they don't overdo it and it makes tanks a bit more rewarding to play, as in you notice the difference between when you're doing it properly versus when you're not doing it properly, I think that would be quite a good thing for the game. I'm pretty sure you could tank a +10 right now on live servers without using any defensives. I would have to try it. I'm interested to see. Maybe not for every spec. Obviously Blood Decay, not using Death Strike's probably not going to work. But on things like a Warrior, I'm actually wondering if you could just tank an entire dungeon on +10, for example, without using shield block. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe without using shield block's a bit of an overstatement. But I do feel like tanks right now are a bit ridiculous, just in general. And I don't necessarily like the nerf, but I hope that if they don't overdo it and it brings a bit more challenge in the tank role, that a lot of people will actually see the fun in it and start picking up tank. I know tanking is not very accessible right now for new players. This will definitely not help. So that's probably the major call out with the problem. But for me, I kind of get a feeling that it might bring a bit more challenge to the tank role for myself, and I might enjoy that. Now, how that will reflect in really, really high keys, probably not good for those people. I don't really do very high tank pushing. So for me, I'm mainly in that doing +10, +11, +12s. I do like heroic raids, maybe dabble a bit into mythic, and especially if you already have some gear. So I think my consensus about the tank tuning is if they don't overdo it and it brings a little bit more challenge to the tanking role, I think for me personally, that would probably be good and probably be quite fun. It will add, however, another layer of complexity to tanking that will shy people away from picking up the role. And I don't really like that aspect of it. So it might make it a bit more difficult, higher barrier of entry, meaning less tanks, meaning we'll have to wait longer in queues and so on. Interesting experiment. We'll see how it pans out. I'm a bit 50-50 on it. We'll just see how it pans out. That was really it for the blue post. There are some other blue posts, but I don't find them really particularly interesting. So let's move on to this next post, which is titled Are the Horde the Bad Guys? And I must be honest, this is not a problem I run into. But I'm kind of interested to see the perception of the community on this post. So in essence, what they're saying is they've read up on the story, they've read up on the lore, and they now think that the Horde are actually the bad guys, resulting in the person saying that they don't want to play Horde because if they're going to be the bad guys, they might as well make a new character and play the good guys or play on the winning side from the start. For me, I honestly don't care about that stuff. If I'm a bad guy, then I'm a bad guy. If I'm with the good guys, then I'm with the good guys. I'm not really too fussed. Sometimes you just like to be part of the quote-unquote bad guys. I think if you look at games like Star Wars The Old Republic, you can choose between being the dark side or the light side, which is probably more clear that there's a good and a bad side, at least from whatever perspective, right? From the movie's perspective, the dark side would be the bad guys. Obviously for the people in the dark side, they don't really think of themselves as the bad guys necessarily. So in a way, it's all a bit about perspective and I guess the roleplay aspect of it. But for me, obviously not a problem, but I am interested to see what actually people say about this. One of the first reaction is someone saying that the alliance is not as good as they look to be. I like the fact that this person is very like, oh, I don't want to play a character that will lose in the end, as if WoW will ever end. I don't think there will ever be an ending, and I don't think the ending would ever end in all the Horde are dead. or the alliance rules the world, right? I don't think that would ever be an ending in World of Warcraft, so maybe someone who's a bit naive in the lore, not 100% sure. I don't think WoW will ever end on one of the factions coming out on top, because that would just blow up the entire community, for sure. This person's really hard on if there's no point in playing Horde. Oh, there we go. What I just explained, someone exactly with the same topic. I don't think WoW will end with one faction standing gloriously victorious over the other, if it will ever end. I think it will probably be both factions standing unified together as equals and friends in a world of peace after defeating the last final bad guy threat to WoW. They do make a point here that there's a difference between the lore in the game and in the books. that you actually have to know what happens in a book sometimes to understand the lore, which is a fair point. I don't necessarily like that fact of it. I think there should always be some key points of storytelling within the game itself, but I do like that there's books, because the books are really, really good if you haven't read them, or at least most of them. I think that's enough about it, but interested to see what you guys think. Do you think that the Horde would lose in the end, or that the Horde are the bad guys, and is that a reason for you guys to not play a Horde character? I'm quite interested to understand why people choose certain factions as well, so if you have any feedback on that, just put it in the comments below. Next topic. Both EU and US forums should be combined. It's quite a hot topic. I think, for me personally, I agree. Why would they not be combined? You could have an EU, well, that would probably defeat the purpose if you have a split section. I don't know why the forums would have to be split. I think both sides of the opinions matter, and having them isolated leads to, I guess, less discussion potentially. If people in the US think differently than people in Europe or anywhere else in the world, wouldn't that just lead to more conversation on a forum that's healthy for the game? I think they should stay separate, because the flag gangs are much more active on the US forums. What is a flag gang? And I mean flagging post threads posted by people who have said something in the past that they got a forum vacation for, or something like that. So did he mean that in the US there's a lot more people reporting your posts, getting you bans from the forums? He's talking about people getting cancelled. That makes quite some sense. And he also likes the intimate feel of the European forums. Well, we'll see how that is in the future. Maybe let me know what you think. Should I go to the US forums as well in the next episode? I think that might be interesting. I didn't know the term flag gang was a term, the things you learn by just going on the forums. And now we've all learned that people who flag posts are apparently part of a flag gang. I wonder if this is like the mafia, where they just say, hey guys, I don't like this post, can everyone just go and flag it? And I can't see that happen in like Discord communities, so maybe we'll learn more about these kind of flag gangs. Wow, Puny Elf, this is a name I have seen a lot. Look at it. 60,000 posts on a forum, which is quite insane. Very active on the forums. Does not see the appeal, because we are not the same. And in the end, we're all WoW players, right? We might not have the same opinions, but I think that's just the beauty of it, that people think in different ways, people communicate in different ways, there might be different types of discussions, and that might end up in some healthy discussions. Probably also a lot of unhealthy discussions, but that's just the way humans are. So, interesting to read that we are not the same, allegedly. Some people referring to Reddit as an alternative forum which has both sides on it. Rizzle, my man, agreeing with me in 2 posts in a row that I'm reviewing. I'm for it. I love seeing different takes from different cultures and perspectives. Makes discussions more interesting and diverse. Rizzle, you keep agreeing with me just after I said it. Obviously he posted it 4 days ago, so I'll not take the claim here. But Rizzle, if you're out there, you and me, we are the same, apparently. I think that's enough for this post, to be honest. Should they be combined? I think there's no harm to it. Maybe you can have a combined forum and 2 separate forums if people really want to keep the separate EU and the US ones. But there's no harm, I think, in having a combined forums. And in the end, you make a combined forum and see how popular it is. If everyone's going to start using the combined forums and you see that the regional forums are starting to die down, you just know that people have more appeal for the combined forums. If you see that nobody's using the combined forum, just shut it down again and revert back to the regional ones. Next up, congratulations, you won World of Warcraft. How did you win the game, or what is your definition of winning the game? I need to have a think about that one. I don't think I can ever win WoW. I've always tried to put the game away, and I always come back because there's always something new to do. I think the one time I felt like I won the game was when I just started raiding in Mist of Pandaria, and we beat Garrosh normal back in the day. That was we had a lot of pulls on it. I was in not the greatest guild, but I was also not a great player. And we ended up beating Garrosh normal, getting the mount. And I think that was one of the most happy winning victory moments I had in WoW. After that, I joined the Heroic Guild and we just smashed the entirety of Heroic and cleared Garrosh Heroic as well, which felt worse for some reason. But that normal kill was really exciting, just working with your guild to clear it. And it was probably my first end boss kill that I procced on properly in this game. So for me, probably that feeling. I don't have that anymore. I do head of the curve every tier usually, and I don't really have that feeling of, yes, we beat it. It's more like, yes, now we can do this again next week, probably with a bit less wipes. So probably that mob experience would be it for me. I think we'll get a lot of different views here. One character of every spec at the game and every race. Collect every mount, toy, pet, transmog. So this isn't all the things achiever. Just collecting every single thing in a game, completing every quest, just 100%ing it. Which is an insane thing to do, it takes a lot of time. But I do understand that for some people that's the end and they will never reach it, which is why they keep playing and Blizzard keeps earning money. Completed all the remix stuff. I think we'll see a lot of that. To be honest, there's a lot of people that are happy that they've completed all the remix stuff because it is quite a bit of a grind. Winning means putting the game down and never playing again. We're all losers. Another rogue that agrees with me. Jeez. Should I start identifying as a rogue then? I've never played rogue properly, so I don't think I can. I bought a lot of tokens and got boosted, and I think no one can take that away from me. Everyone sets their own win condition. I agree with that. I guess that's the question as well that the person was asking. What is winning for you? A win is when I had a good play session and a good time with my fellow human players. That is a very nice consensus, I think. Whenever you have fun in a game, that's when you win, right? Games are made to have fun. So have fun and you win. Finishing every quest we've seen. Stereo Puny Elf is back. If I'm having fun, I'm winning. Agree. 100% agree. I never bought a token, so yeah, I won. I saved money. It seems like there's two camps here. There's the camp that says you can win. Either you complete everything, you do whatever you want in it, you make your own success, or you have fun. And then there's also the game cannot be won because it's never ending. It seems like those are the main two camps. Let me know what camp you guys are in. I'm definitely in the camp of if you have fun, you're winning. That's what you're playing the game for. And to me, that's more important than any materialistic thing that you can have in a game. What the hell is TWIW is our next post, and honestly this is a very short one. I did not know. Apparently it means this week in WoW. Oh, maybe that will be the name of our show. Although I don't really want to steal the official Blizzard name, and I don't think TWIW is very catchy. So we've got my friend Frizzle responding here. I saw that too and just thought that they messed up the acronym for the war within. Learn something new every day. Frizzle, man, that's 3 in a row where I had the exact same thought. I was not sure. I swear guys, I am not Frizzle. I do not play rogue. I do not have a Mechanome rogue. I don't even think I have Mechanomes unlocked on the games. But hey Frizzle, get out of my head please. Thank you very much. Next up, a post from Unielf, familiar name. What will you miss the most about the Dragon Isles? So if this is specifically about the Dragon Isles and not about Dragonflight, I would have to think about it. One is Valdrakken. I like Valdrakken as a capital once you get used to it. There's a lot of nooks and crannies where you can get lost in, but in general I really like the idea of Valdrakken as a capital, especially the outdoorsness of it. Secondly, I'll probably miss the dragons. I really like dragons, and not having them around everywhere will probably feel a little bit weird once we get off the Dragon Isles. Aside from that, just Dragon Isles, not Dragonflight specific, I don't think I'll miss that much about the zones. I suppose the open skies once we're below ground. I can envy that. If we're going to be in the caves and it's going to be a bit of a claustrophobic underground feel, it's definitely something that I would probably miss sometimes as well. A lot of people finding it hard to find things that they will miss about the Dragon Isles. The fountain in the center, see, this is a point for Valdrakken, right? Oh, no Frizzle! We broke the streak! No way! You can't think of anything. See, I think Valdrakken and the fact that there's a bunch of dragons, that's the main point for me. Alex Razzle's a dragon, so that's agree with me in a way. Flight speed's one of the things that we'll apparently have a bit less of in the War Within. So I can imagine you would miss that. I'm already happy that we will keep dragon flying. Some people are gonna miss the Duskars here. Alistar's on my Alistar's with me, he's gonna miss the dragons. A lot of people are missing the Azure Span as well, which I liked as a zone. I'm not the biggest fan, but it was okay. But there is still a lot of nothing that will be missed. The last post for today, then we'll be done, is I suspect the pre-patch might be underwhelming. Gameplay wise, if they don't implement the War Within baseline talent tree changes for the new X-Pack, and since we don't have access to the hero talents, that we will basically be playing the same game that we have been playing for the last 2 years. If all that changes is warbands, nothing much has really changed. I do agree with this. I don't know if we're going to have like a pre-patch event or some quests, but in the past, when pre-patch hit, we had obviously the class changes come in. But the same thing happened. Let's talk about, for example, BFA. The class changes came in, but you didn't have access to Azerite armor, the Heart of Azeroth, to anything like that, right? Legion, you didn't have access to your legendaries in the pre-patch. So it's not that massive things needs to change. It's usually just a little fun event that you can go log in for a couple of days, do the event a couple of times, and you're done. With this, we're getting the warbands, which is this massive overhaul to how you and your alts work. And I think that might incentivize people to do a lot more grindy stuff. Finish off some reputations, look at what they can do on different characters to bring it all together into the one pool that is your warbands. So even though it might be a bit underwhelming, a pre-patch is not meant to be super overwhelming. It's meant to have an event, have some of the initial class changes. The leveling experience reduction, I'm pretty sure will be in the pre-patch, if I remember correctly. So that is a big thing if you want to level some alts, unless you're obviously doing remix, which is a lot faster. But the leveling reduction will be quite nice for people to do. The experience needed will be reduced from 1 to level 60 or 70. So you'll actually be able to just go through and level an alt if you need to as well during the pre-patch with the new class updates. So that should be a fun one as well. There we go, yeah, so apparently on the PTR you've got the actual pre-patch event, you've got a quest chain, skywriting, and warbands. So that's already some content that's there. I think a lot of people have a bit of the same consensus here as Puny Elf. It's just something you do the event on your main, maybe you grab some appearances, and then you're done with it until the expansion comes out. Pre-patch hits a month before the expansion, so it wouldn't be that long before the expansion actually hits. You can just get your main ready, get some alts leveled, and just get ready for the expansion and try out some of the new features before it launches. So I think, is it going to be underwhelming? I think pre-patch is just underwhelming. I wouldn't even call it underwhelming, it's just a pre-patch. As long as we get something to do and a little bit of an introduction to the new expansion, I'm more than happy. And with that, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments below. If you have any takes or anything that you might want to see different in this format, let me know. It's something new I try, and I'll try to build on this further in the near future. So thank you all very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.